Flack math! Give me some math and I'll give you some flack. Flack math!
Here we go. Practice test 10. Adrian averaged 11 points per game when the write the two rates. So you could say Adrian averaged 11 points per game, or one game per 11 points. So you need to write the two ratios first. All it is one on top of the other, and then the other way. Okay? Write the two rates. Did it? Implied by the statement. How many points would she score if she played 19 games and maintained this average? How do you figure that out?
11 times how many games?
Yep, 11 times 19 is what?
120.
So 209.
I'm thinking, I guess. 209. Okay, good enough.
Okay.
Yep.
The other way you could do it is write it like this. Unit multipliers, you could do it. So you want to, or you just write it as a proportion, right? 11 games. Okay. And then how do you figure that out? You can either, or 19 games, sorry. You can cross multiply, do the fish method, or you could just figure out, okay, times 19, so 209 points. Number 2. So if you have a question, now's the time to ask. Xavier, put your hood down.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
When?
When?
When
Why?
did he ask?
Yeah, when did I ask?
Why?
Why did you ask?
What?
Who?
Okay.
Why
So
do
number
I
2,
care?
before Romeo climbed the rose trellis to the balcony, he and Juliet estimated the height of the balcony. Can you imagine that? Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Okay, if you take the square root of 28 and calculate the distance to, no. So he and Juliet estimated the height of the balcony above the ground. Romeo's estimate was 5,801 meters. What?
That's a big balcony.
That's not what I remember seeing in the play.
I remember it was like the height of that whiteboard.
Juliet's was 5,409 meters. What was the mean of the two estimates? How do you find the mean of two numbers?
You add and then you then you do a slash and then a 2 and then you do something.
So you add them together, divide by 2, find the average of two numbers,
What bunch of white guys on the bench?
or any numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you find the average of two numbers, add them up, divide by 2. How do you find the average of three numbers?
You add up the numbers and then you divide by 3.
All right, so let's see. I'm going to put this over here. So that's all over 2. So let's write it out like this: 5801, 409. Okay, and then divide by 2. That goes in 5 times, 6 times, 0 times, 5 times. So here's the average of the two heights. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Complete. Good job, Mr. Flack.
Thank you. Number 3. What number is 1/6 of 45? Do you guys know how to figure that out?
No.
So what number is 1/6 of 45?
You turn 45 into a fraction and then you cross reduce.
All right, but you can only cross reduce a little bit. So what do you end up with? 15 over 2. You could have just multiplied. Hey, Xavier, put the trash can back where it
I know
goes.
the answer.
Turn around, pay attention, please.
40. It's 7.5.
Okay, or you could just leave it 15 halves, okay? So if you didn't cross reduce, that's fine. You would have gotten 45/6. And you could have still said, okay, that's 7 3/6, which is 7.5.
I did that in my head.
Or you can reduce, all right? Everyone good with number 3?
Yes.
All right, number 4, Xavier. This is the question that you decided to skip. So you need to know how to do this, all right? This is easy if you can remember it. So I would suggest taking notes, but maybe you can remember it. The number of overcast days for the month of January through May was reported as follows. January, oh, this kind of,
January.
this isn't that problem. This isn't range, median, mode, and mean. That's not that one. But we're just graphing. So January is,
This is the bar graph.
so we're going to draw a graph. We're going to do a bar graph and a broken line graph. Okay, yes.
I did the bar graph. I just didn't do the. broken line.
Okay, well, the broken line graph is pretty easy because all you have to do is connect the tops of the bars. Okay, so let's do that. March, April, and May. Okay, and then let's see, the numbers range from like 12 to 30. So let's just go
24.
30 here, 20 here. Does that look about right?
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll just kind of guess from here. January is 24. Where's 24? It's not your mom or my mom.
It's a school bus. That's not a school bus. That's my mom.
Okay, so does that look like 24? It's a little bit less than halfway from 20 to 30.
Yeah.
February 17. 17 is about right there. So far, so good. See what I'm doing?
Yeah. I can.
March is 22, a little bit above 20.
That looks like 24.
You look like 24.
Thank you.
Mom looks like 24.
Oh, we're
That's a
better
compliment.
than an insult.
Okay,
That means you would have been
22. April is 29, almost all the way up to 30. And then May is 12, just above 10. So if it looks kind of like that, I'm going to give you full credit. That's the bar graph, Austin.
Austin.
How do you draw the broken line graph?
Oh, I know.
You do dots and then you
Yeah.
do lines.
So instead of the top drawing bars, you're just going to do dots at the top right there, wherever it registers, and then you connect the dots.
It's way harder to read.
Does that make sense, Xavier? The broken line?
I just didn't know what a broken line was.
So it's weird that it's called broken, but I would call it a line graph. They call it a broken line graph because, like, if you think about a branch, you break it, sometimes the bark is still holding it on, so it's still broken. But that's why they call it a broken line graph. Yeah, something like that.
Mr. Flack, why do you have masks on your tree?
Because I'm required to wear a mask,
If you have like 7 of them. 8 of them.
No, he was
just in case.
where? Just in case I drop one in the gutter, I
God,
got
am I
a
the only
new
one
one
who
out.
knows that you have
Ew.
8 masks?
Yeah, one for his elbows, one for each his elbows, one for each his knees, one for his hands.
Okay,
And,
His shoes.
no, one for his shoes and then two for his forehead.
2 for my forehead.
It's not a forehead, it's a 5-head.
Okay, I'm going to convert to mixed numbers. How do you write 8/5 as a mixed number?
1 3/5.
Okay, so if you don't know how to do that in your head, you're basically wanting to know how many times 5 goes into 8 and how many you have left over. So it goes in 1 time with 3 left over. So that remainder goes up on top. And that denominator is still the same, still 5 on the bottom.
When's
Okay,
the next test?
we're going to start it Tuesday.
But isn't it in person?
Yep.
Can I skip that day?
Okay, can you do this in your head? How many times does 6 go into 18 without going over?
3.
3, and how many is left over?
1 6.
So 3 and 1 left over, and that 6 stays the same. 3 and 1 6. Can you guys do that in your head?
Yes.
Okay, you don't have to, but I mean they're getting to the point where it's becoming easier to do that. Okay, here's a little bit. You got to be careful with this one. If you do this one in your head, what do you get? 1 and 2 6, but
1 3rd, 1 3rd, 1
2 6 is reducible. You can divide them both by 2.
3rd, 1 3rd.
You get 1/3.
Wow, Nathan never said that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He didn't even say that.
Okay, Mr. Flack.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a joke?
Is it appropriate?
Yes.
Is it appropriate that I would say it's appropriate or appropriate that you would say is appropriate?
It's appropriate.
Yes.
Okay.
And now I have one.
Okay, what's an orphan's favorite movie?
What?
Home Alone.
Okay, here, let me actually tell you one. You watch the NBA at all?
Yeah, I heard that joke.
Dang
I didn't say
it.
that.
Did you not laugh?
Well, it's technically racist, so
I know, but it's funny.
I know, but it's funny. Really? Did you just say that on the internet?
But it's funny.
I know, but
Have
it's
you
funny.
Have you heard Nathan's joke? Is that
No,
one?
we're not gonna say Nathan's joke. Here we
No, I
go.
have a different one about
Number 6.
He has a different one about orphans.
I don't care. Number 6, find the least common multiple. This is gonna be difficult if you don't pay attention. This one is almost impossible if you don't do it the way I'm going to show you.
That's not good.
The least common multiple. How do you find the least common multiple of something?
You have to break it down.
Break it down into factors. Yep. You could just start listing all the multiples, like 14, 28, 42. That's going to take you a while, right? Before you figure out something that they have in common. Don't do it that way. Do it this way. Do factor trees.
Factor trees.
14 is just 2 times 7. 22, 2 times 11.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Nope. 297 is, what is that? How many times? I think 3 goes into that. 9 goes into that. 9 goes in, let's see, 33 times.
Mr. Flack,
Okay.
you can break his mind
9
down.
is 3 and 3. 33 is 3 and 11, right? So this is 3 to the 3rd power times 11. Everyone okay with that?
Official.
I think so.
Okay, now watch this. The least common multiple is the biggest exponent of each number. Xavier,
11.
pay attention. So what's the biggest exponent of 2?
2.
Just 2. What about 3?
3, 3, 3.
3 to the 3rd. See that? The biggest exponent of each. What else do we got? We got 7.
11.
We got 11. So these appear the same amount of times. So this is your answer, guys. You can multiply that out if you want. 2 times 8 times 77. What's what's 16 times 77?
Actually,
1,232. You could leave it like this with the factors, or you could write the answer.
What if I did both?
That's great. Good job.
But what if I didn't do it? Oh. But what if I didn't do the second?
Well, you just need one of them. 50 minus 5. Dot 3. What's dot 3 mean?
Times.
Multiple.
So what do you do first?
You multiply.
Multiply first. So we're going to do that. And we're going to do that. So this is 15. That's 20. Everything else we're going to keep the same. 50 minus 15 plus 20. Now what?
Then you go left to right.
Left to right. 50 minus 15 is 35 plus 20 is 55. Okay? Can you guys handle that problem? Order of operations. That's it. Number 8. We're going to add these fractions. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add them vertically because that's easier. 1.5. 3 1/6. 1 3/4. What's the common denominator of all 3 of these fractions? Can you guys figure it out? Xavier, who's turning around and looking at me?
Yes.
What's the common denominator of 2, 6, and 4?
12.
Nice. Okay, so now I've got my denominator. How do you figure out your new numerator? How do you figure out that numerator?
You multiply the number by the same amount.
Okay, so what did you multiply 2 by to get 12?
1.
6. So 1 times 6 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12, so 1 times 2 is 2. What about here? What's this one?
3.
Wow, good job.
Good job.
So 3 times 3 is 9, not 3.
Oh.
Okay, so remember you're trying to figure out how much you multiply by, and then you add it. Okay, but here's the problem. When you add these together, you get 17 over 12. And then you get 5 and 17 twelfths. Is that answer correct?
No.
No.
Well, it is. It's just not in the right format. Why not?
Because it's like having a mixed number and a fraction.
Yeah.
It's like half part of each triangle.
Yep. So what can you do to fix that? Emerson?
Okay, so you convert it.
Okay.
So there's a 17. So you just subtract them, which would be 5 twelfths.
Yep.
And then you
So 1 and 5 twelfths. So that 1 goes with the 5, right?
yeah. So it's 6.
So now I get 6 and 5 twelfths. Raise your hand if you're going to fail this problem. If you didn't pay attention, then you're going to fail it.
Dude, take my water bottle. I'm thirsty.
You shouldn't have gone to the bathroom after I said, no, you can't go to the bathroom.
Oh, no means yes.
Ooh, stop.
Give it. I don't have it.
All right. I don't know where it is. Sorry. This is what happens when you're friends with 8th graders.
That's actually a really good point, Mr. Flack.
Yeah, that's cool.
So the solution to this is just not have friends.
Isolate.
Isolation.
Quarantine.
Need a dang water bottle. Nathan takes his water bottle like a religion. Not really. Water
Nathan,
bottle.
you're seriously sus.
Give me the water bottle.
Okay. How about we give it to them in 5 seconds or less, or
Or self-destruct and new.
things happen.
Gosh, you're going.
Wait. Read.
Right.
Okay, here we go, guys. Number 9. We're still adding these. Try to do this by yourself. Try to beat me to it. 3 2/3 plus 4 4/9 plus 5 5/6. Add those together. I'm going to go slow. I'm doing it.
Common denominator is 18. Hold it. Go slower. Slower, 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 slower.
Faster, faster, faster.
Faster, faster, faster.
Slow, 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 slow,
Slow, slow,
Okay.
slow, slow, slow.
I had it.
Now adding.
I had it already.
Pause.
14 and 2, 14 and 3, no, 13 and 17, 18.
Good. So this 35/18, we can do what we did a few problems up. Just divide and write your remainder as a fraction. So this is just 1 and 17/18. Well, that 1 gets added on to the whole numbers where it belongs. So 13 and 17/18.
That's what I got.
That's what I got.
That's what I got. Let's get it.
My last words will be probably.
All right, number 10.
Wait, my gosh, my last words. Subtract 5.
5 5/9 minus
4 3/8.
4 3/8. Okay, what's the common denominator?
Oh,
You do that one? Here's a little trick. The common denominator of 2 consecutive numbers, like 8 comes right before 9, is just multiply them together. 72. Okay, so that's times 8 times 8. This is times 9 times 9. So 40 minus 27 is 13 70 seconds. 5 minus 4 is 1. So you didn't have to borrow or anything. That was a nice straight problem.
I'll read the next one before you.
All right.
This is straight, but this
In my
is not.
freaking head too.
Straight, not straight. Straight, not
Oh.
straight.
Good roast. Respectable.
All right. So this is a long problem.
Straight, not straight.
What is it? A 4-part problem. You have to multiply everything by 7, by 7, by 5. And then you have to add them all together, right? Are you guys paying attention? Doesn't seem like you are.
I am. They're talking about people being gay.
7 times 7 is 49. Plus 4, 31. 28, 31. Okay, so do a space, multiply it by 7 again. So that's easy. You just do the same numbers and shift it over one spot. Okay?
Mr. Clark, no, Mr. Clark, Mr. Clark.
Uh-huh.
Wait,
What's that?
oh, no, you're not wrong.
What? The answer is put 2 zeros.
Okay, now the last one is multiply the 5, so we need 2 space holders.
3.
5 times 7 is 35.
18, 21. 18, 21. No way. No. Not even count. No way. No way.
No way.
No.
Oh,
No.
you do it.
Okay, is that the answer?
Yes.
How do you figure out where the decimal goes, Xavier?
You take the number of decimal points.
Okay, so there's 2. A number of numbers after the decimal point. So
Yeah.
2 here and 1 there.
So straight.
So 3. So start from here and go 3 over.
No
Boom.
way. You just did that. Oh my God.
That really happened.
Ingenious,
true.
Mr. Flack.
You could be the next.
Imagine if I-
You really undone yourself.
You could be the next Einstein.
Bro.
Oh, no,
you
he already
start
is.
When you have Mr. Flash.
Yeah, who is
Imagine if
Einstein?
someone asked.
Imagine if I were Einstein. You just have this
Imagine if someone.
Number 12.
job.
This is just a subtraction problem, guys. How do you subtract decimals?
You.
You don't.
No,
No,
you
you
definitely do.
What you do is you make the decimal points the same amount of decimal points. So you have 10 decimal points, then you have 1 decimal point. You make that 1 decimal point.
Make no
Really?
sense.
Well, you don't make it the same amount of decimal points, but you line up the decimal points. Because if you line up the decimal points, you're lining it up by place value. That's how you add or subtract numbers anyway. So what would make this problem easier?
You put a 0
Yeah, let's put a 0 there. So now I'm subtracting. Can you subtract 0 minus 5?
No.
No, so you borrow.
Taking a long.
He's putting it back.
So lots of borrowing in this problem. It's kind of annoying.
Hey, bro. Makes sense.
So 676.85. Does that feel okay?
Yes.
All right, this is the last test of the semester. So the next test, you'll be using your calculator.
No way.
Free. Let's go.
Hey, Mr. Black, I want
Yeah.
to tell you something ingenious. So, do you know how today is Ugly Sweater Day?
Uh-huh.
So, what
It
I was
is?
going to do, yes. So, what I was
Is that why
going
you
to
were
do,
in that? That's what-
this is what I was going to do. I was going to
Oh,
take
you
one of
got
my
it.
sweatshirts, and then I was going to put a picture of Nathan Esau, tape it to my sweatshirt. Ugly sweatshirt. But I was like, no, he's going to get
That would be funny. That would be a little hurtful, but
It's
funny
like
at Nathan's expense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the
Small
Halloween
price
costume.
today.
I was going to put like a mirror on my sweater and say, do you like my ugly sweater? People look at
You've
it.
got to be looking at hospital.
There
No,
it
you
is.
put on 2. One on the back, one on the front. You stand behind him on the back, you stand in front of him. Boom.
Where you? Then Austin will finally be able to. Look at
I'm not big enough to fit on.
26
That's you.
kilometers equals how
You
many?
say kilometers.
I did. I
Kilometers.
said kilometers.
Black, can I tell you a joke now?
Yes.
Nope. Nope.
Appropriate.
So 26 kilometers equals how many centimeters? How do you do this?
You
You take it and you move it over.
You move what over?
The unit multiplier.
Okay, so you can do unit multipliers. 26 kilometers. Okay, so it'd probably be good to change from kilometers to meters first. How many meters are in a kilometer?
1,000.
So right, so you can go 1 kilometer on the bottom. Meters on top. Remember the kilometers have to be on the bottom because you have to cancel the kilometers, diagonally cancel the kilometers. And then the top measurement is where you're going. So those will cancel. And then how do you get from meters to centimeters? How many centimeters are in a meter?
100.
Yeah.
So 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So then you're left with 26 times 1,000 times 100. 26 times 1,000 is 1, 2, 3 zeros. Times 100 is 2 more zeros.
Which is 2,600,000.
Okay, guys, the other way to do this is to write your chart. Look at your chart. Shh.
What's your head?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys listening?
Yes.
All right. So if you go from kilometers to centimeters, you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right. When you move the decimal 5 to the right, what do you end up with? 1, 2. This guy. Okay, so that's the shortcut to converting in the metric system. You just, as long as you know your prefixes, so the meter are separated by the D's, and then you got centimeters, millimeters on this side, and hectometers, kilometers on the left side, then you can just move the decimal.
Go into the bathroom.
Good, now that he's gone. Isn't Xavier so annoying? Oh, this is awkward.
This is an certified good classic. Whoa, done. Whoa.
All right, number 14, here we go. Graph. Do you guys know how to graph points on a coordinate system?
Yes.
You made that sound German. No one, absolutely no one.
Graph. God.
Sounds like some composer.
Okay, how do you graph
You don't.
1, 3?
1 and then a comma and then
You go over 1 and then up 3.
Right. So the first number is how far right or left you go. Okay. So +1 means right 1. And +3, the second number is how far up or down you go. So +3 means up 3. Right 1, up 3. Boom, 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 boom. So there's 1, 3. You guys good with 1, 3?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. What about?
oh no, battery is low, Mr.
Uh-oh.
It's not good.
That's not good.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh my gosh, it flipped.
Oh my goodness, this is low too.
You, Mr. Flack, are quiet. The other Mr. Flack is talking. So it sounds like infinite Mr. Flack.
Okay, so B is at -7, 2. Describe to me, somebody besides Nathan, how to graph -7, 2.
You move over 7
Over 7, like over here,
to the right.
Left, left,
to,
and then go
to
up 2.
your left, my right.
Left and go up 2.
So left 7, because it's negative. Left is negative, right is positive. And then +2, so up 2. Left 7, up 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up 2. So there's -7, 2. Xavier, question?
I was gonna answer the.
Okay, answer this one. -9, -4. How do you graph that?
9 to the left.
Uh-huh.
Down.
Good. Left 9, down 4. Can you guys handle these problems?
I don't think I'm capable.
So right there is
I
negative
just
9,
showed you.
negative 4. Good. You feeling all right?
Yeah.
Okay, number 15. Here's number 15. Evaluate. Okay, a couple of you got this wrong. So this is good. This will be good practice. 2G, yeah, minus FG. So F equals 5/6. G equals 3/5. Okay, well, first of all, what do you do first?
Yeah.
You plug in the numbers, right?
Yes.
So what's G? Okay, pay close attention to this.
3/5.
So what does it mean when it's right next to a letter? Right, so 2 times 3/5 minus F, which is 5/6. What does it mean when the F is right next to the G?
Multiplication.
This is also multiplication, right? Right next to each other, 5/6 times 3/5, right? All right, so you can cross reduce a little bit. Here you can't. So that's just 6/5, right? But look, the 5s cancel. And then what about the 3 and the 6? They do, but yeah, they do. Okay, so then you get minus 1/2. So 6/5 minus 1/2. Now what do you do?
Can you find the
Common denominator is what? 10? So this is times 2. So this is times 2, 12/10. This is times 5. So this is times 5. Minus 5/10 is 7/10. Okay, so that was a tricky problem. First, you had to plug in numbers for letters, and then you had to add some fractions and multiply fractions. Yes, question?
Okay, so is it possible to find a denominator, a common denominator?
It's not multiplication or division, but if you do it that way, you can. So for example, if you had like 5/8 divided by 3/8, then that would just be 5/3. But that's a confusing way. I think it's a confusing way to do division. This is just copied out flat. 5/8 times 8/3. 8s cancel, and you're left with 5/3.
No. Like instead of multiplying each other out.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Only if you get, I mean, like, for example, if you had like 3/5 plus 8/10. So you can divide this by 2, and then you get 3/5 plus 4/5. Yeah, so sometimes you can find a common denominator by dividing something. Only if it's not reduced, right? Otherwise, you'll end up with like a decimal, and you don't want a decimal inside of a fraction. That's weird.
That's so weird. Did you even do that?
Yep.
Oh no. No, I bet that's scary because I don't like this. I like that. You know what's scary?
You know what's so scary? Being here in this class.
Yes.
You know what's also scary?
Oh.
Oh,
See, that's not nice.
Oh.
she just insulted the Elmo's
See,
grandma in the
they
group.
can't talk.
I know.
That's why I said most.
They wanted to talk about
But she's the only girl in this class, so she gets special privileges. Yes.
This is a very, very important question.
Okay.
So to you, like, you'll never hear
You asked the
like
question?
this again.
Okay.
Very good.
Yes.
Okay, thank
Man, I
No.
Okay, guys.
No.
El told me no.
So this, if you just ignore the fractions for a second, this is a very, hey, this is just an addition problem, and you're missing one of the add-ends. How do you figure out the missing add-end? You don't have to. Fail this test.
you. Subtract
Subtract.
7/15 from 4.
Yep. So that's what I'm going to do. Minus 7/15. Minus 7/15. Okay. So then I need a common denominator, right?
I mean, technically, but
You can do it.
12/15 minus 7/15 is 5/15. Are you done?
No.
You can reduce that to 1/3. Is that all right?
yes, Coach. Sure.
Yes, sir, Coach. Thank
Okay, what happens if you're missing one of the factors in a multiplication problem? See how this is something times a variable equals something. What do you do to figure out that missing factor?
Which one's the variable?
X.
Oh, I thought that was 6. Oh, that X?
Yeah.
Isn't that multiplication?
Yep. 5, 6 times x equals 1/2. So what happens when you're missing something in a multiplication problem?
5, 6, and I more than
Now you're trying to think about the math. Don't think about the math.
I don't see the dot.
What happens
We're
when
in
you're
math class, so I don't think we'll-
5, 6 times x equals 1/2. So how do you figure out that missing number in a multiplication problem?
I think you have to divide by negative.
Okay, here
Divide by.
you divide, guys. So this is kind of like this problem. So if you ever get confused because you've been fractionated, then rewrite that same problem with normal numbers. How do you figure out what x is?
It's 4.
Yeah, you just divide 12 by 3. So you divide 1/2 by 5, 6. Another way to think about this, and this is something that we talked about, when you're dividing, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So remember, your goal is to get x by itself.
Yep.
So to get rid of something that's being multiplied, you divide. And really, when you're divided by a fraction, what are you doing? How do you divide fractions, Xavier?
You don't.
You don't. You copy, dot, flop. So then x equals, you can cross reduce. After you flop it, you can reduce. So 2 and 6 to 1 and 3. And you get 3/5. That's it.
At the end of 40.
3 more problems and we're done with the review, okay? Here, this is an easy one. Ready? 6y equals 66. How do you find y?
Oh, huge. It's already
Oh, you just do it.
It's always.
Right, you could just divide both sides by 6 if you didn't figure out already that y was 11. Does that make sense? Okay.
Use a big blank.
Okay, here's another easy one. N plus 2 equals 13. How do you figure out what n is?
Wow, I totally bet it's not 11.
Okay, if you don't want to do this with common sense, you can subtract 2, subtract 2. Remember, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. Good. We got one more problem. Who's ready for it?
Not everyone in the
I'm ready
am.
for it to be.
class. Well, wrong. Let's do it. Whoever gets it first, who comes second.
No, you don't call it home.
So I want to find the area of this. You guys can find the area of this if you want.
Oh, yeah, I hate it.
That's too much to multiply. I'm not doing that.
No. I actually already did this. I already did this.
I was done one of these problems in a
So then probably should have an answer by then. Hey.
I got it.
How do you find the area of this composite figure?
No, you should have.
Okay, I think it's
What?
you
Hey,
multiply
guys,
stuff.
come on.
So what you gotta do? You gotta multiply 16 times 21
Okay, why?
because you're finding the area.
Yeah, you're finding the area of both shapes separately, right? So this 16 by 21 rectangle, and then you find the area of this triangle. What are the dimensions of that triangle?
It's just half of the other.
It's not half of the other thing. No.
You would do 16 times 16 times.
Oh,
36 minus 21, which is 15.
So then you multiply those two numbers and you divide it by 2.
Yeah, don't forget to divide by 2 when you're finding the area of a triangle. Divide by 2. So that's 240 divided by 2, which is 120. So 16 times 15 divided by 2. So that's 120. So you get 16 times 21. What's that? Let's see. 120 plus another 16. 136. So area equals 256. And what are the dimensions in? Inches. So square inches. Don't forget when you're finding the area, square inches.
Squarea? What is that, new continent?
Maybe. All right, does that feel all right, guys? You guys gonna ace this last test?
Flack math. Give me some math and I'll give you some flack. Flack math.